welcome to NAPOD, where we provide NA speaker meetings and workshops in a podcast. We are an ad-free podcast, and if you enjoy listening, please help us to be self-supporting by visiting napod.xyz, look for the donate link, and drop $1 or $2 in the virtual basket. If you're also in AA or have friends that are, please tell them about our other podcast, Sobercast. Sobercast features AA speakers and workshops in the same format as NAPOD. We upload a new speaker every day, and it's easy to subscribe by searching for Sobercast, that's 2 words, on any podcast player app, or go to Sobercast.com. Enjoy the podcast, and thanks for listening.
I'm an addict. My name is Connie. Hey, everybody. I want to thank God for allowing me to be here. Clean, serene, getting better day at a time. The topic is you can't heal what you can't feel. I'd like to thank the capital area for asking me. Originally, when I got this topic, or I was, through my husband, I was asked to share, I really didn't want to. You know, I'd rather feel more comfortable sitting out in those empty seats out there. Instead of getting up here talking about me. But all I can do is share my experience, strengths, and hopes. To the best of my ability, with God's help, on this topic, you can't heal what you can't feel. I got the topic a couple of months ago, but I was just so busy in my life, so many other things was pressing me that I really didn't take the time then to deal with it, to deal with this topic. But I believe just my experiences is what I'm going to share. And as, yesterday and today, the message and the topic became more clear. And you can't hear what you can't feel. And it made me think of early on in recovery when I first came around. And I came to Narcotics Anonymous through treatment. I was put into treatment, and for a long time, I was getting high. And it was okay until when I didn't have any more drugs and I didn't have any more money and I had nothing else to numb the feeling. To numb the feeling of feeling bad because all your money was gone. To numb the feeling that, you know what, you only got enough $20 left, enough to catch the bus for another 2 weeks till you get paid again. Promising my kids some things that I didn't get them. So I went into treatment only because my parents found out I was using. And I was kind of glad that they knew. Everybody, I was one of them closet addicts. So once they knew, I didn't even try to hide anymore. I was like, yes, I need some help. Yes, I need help. And I thank God for that. Yes, I need some help. So I went to treatment, and I went to treatment. I was kind of like in a daze, because, when you're coming off of a run, you kind of like in a daze. And my parents, people knew them. So when I came into the treatment facility, people tried to act like they didn't know me, but I didn't know what the heck was going on. I remember riding up, they took me to this facility, and it said treatment center, and I began to cry. And my mother was like, what you was crying for? And back then you can't talk. You don't know about your feelings. And I was just crying because to me, in my mind, this is some real stuff. Treatment center. I didn't know anything about treatment, y'all, before I got here. I didn't know nothing about Narcotics Anonymous. I didn't know anything about the disease of addiction. So, while I was in there, I did the 30-day thing. And after a week or two, my parents came back. And mind you, I had packed some clothes, so I had a cute little jean outfit on, and some girls up in there did my hair. That's when I had a perm. They crimped it real good, and I was looking real nice, and my parents was like, waiting to see me outside the door, and I came smiling and bouncing around, and they sat me down and reminded me why the hell I was there. They said, your rent ain't been paid in 3 months. Your gas and electric bill hasn't been paid. Your phone is cut off. And if you don't get yourself together, we're going to take your children. Now, that really woke me up. And I was like, I don't know how they going to take my children. So it was like, all right, let me just get into this thing. And when I was there, people were relapsing. People had come back to this treatment facility because they were relapsing. I'm telling you, y'all, all of this was new for me. Being in there for 30 days just was beginning to touch the surface. I talked a real good game. I didn't understand what I was talking about or what I was going through. But all I remember is they say, pray, go to meetings, don't pick up. Because I remember being in there for 30 days, and they said, Connie, what you going to do when the thought come to use? And I said, I'm going to tell myself I love myself. But they told me in treatment, if you loved yourself so much, why did you use? And thank God there was always some girls around, somebody around who always helped me. And this sister whispered, pray, go to meetings, don't pick up. That if the thought to use was to come, that I was supposed to pray, go to meetings, and don't pick up. I did not know that was the damn answer. I did not know that was the answer, y'all. So thank God, we have to keep coming back around here. So I get out and I go home, and my parents don't understand why I got to keep coming to these meetings. I remember when I went back to this facility, my mother came in at the end of the meeting whenever we was in the circle, talking about, come on, we got to go. You know what I mean? Healing what you can't feel. I did not know that I had harmed my kids so much. Once the drugs are gone, and let me tell you, they moved me from where I was. They moved me from like Randallstown to this place, I'm from Maryland, to like Owings Mills. They didn't give me, because they were scared. They were scared. They didn't give me my daggone telephone number. But I had a phone, but I wasn't grateful because I'm like, I need two-way just in case somebody try to call me on the other line because I'm in recovery now. I need to get my messages. I needed call waiting. I needed to have some damn messages. And I remember this sister from Baltimore, and I called the end. She said, you need to be grateful you even got a phone. I didn't understand that when I came, by treatment, I was messing with a married man. Didn't know my self-esteem was that low. But I knew I had to leave him alone because, he was selling drugs. They said change people, places, and things. So I had to let that go. You know what I mean? And I was feeling some stuff. It was sad. It was, I was horny little sister. Had to be by myself. I wasn't used to that. So, the few times, couple of months I was here, I picked up something else. And then the brother was like, we just need to be friends. And then, Janet Jackson is my girl, and one of her songs came on, some song back then, what love got to do with something. It wasn't Tina, but it was a Janet Jackson song. And sisters around here had to teach me what to pray for. She was like, well, Connie, pray. I'm like, pray for what? And she would tell me what to pray for. I remember sitting, crying, being in a fetal position. I didn't understand why this relationship wasn't working, but I remember being in it that it wasn't working. He didn't want to be no father figure. So I had to come around here and learn some things that I wanted in a relationship. When I came through here, I came through therapy. By the time you get out of treatment, you go to outpatient, and I went in therapy, And she used to say to me, Connie, write down 10 things that you want in a relationship, that you want from a man, and put them in order from most important to least important. And some things were on that list. They had to be, educated, not rich, but some money. They had to have a job. They had to have a car because I had a car. They had to have their own place because I had my own place. They had to be a father figure because I had 2 kids. They had to be older than me for a change. They had to be able to fix stuff. Because I got tired of a brother that couldn't fix nothing. The chair's still rocking a little bit. That kind of stuff I thought was important to me in the beginning. They had to be committed. They had to be able to communicate. Not knowing that I didn't have those skills. I ain't had no daggone communication skills. But they said it was important, right? That kind of stuff, be able to communicate. I ain't had them skills, to tell you exactly what I was feeling or what I was thinking. Whether it was good, bad, or whatever. Because in my mind, I kept it to myself because I was never secure enough in myself to talk about what I was feeling because I was, didn't want the rejection. All this stuff is new. All of this stuff was new. So, I pretty much found the man on the list. Stayed married with him for a few years. For a little while. And it went the route it was supposed to go. It didn't last long, and that's okay. That's all right. So, I want to get back to, like, my kids. You know, my daughter pretty much raised my son. I came around here, she was 8, he was 2. And I remember one time I had to whip his little tail because he was so bad. And she didn't like it, you know, because I'm the crazy one. You know, y'all think y'all crazy. No, I'm the fool. Let me act like if you don't know what to do in school, you know what I mean? Not to the point where I thought it was abusive. You know, but just to the point to let me get my daggone point across. And she's like, you don't have to beat him. I said, you know what? You want his ass whipping? You know what I mean? So it came to a point where I had to stop letting my little son be a bad little boy. You know what I mean? And it took a while, y'all, because I know as I came around here and got better, they got better. Thank God. You know, as God began to come in my life, because he was always there, as I allowed to see God in my life and being led in a good, orderly way and following suggestions and taking suggestions and those kinds of things, my life got better. I remember using, right, and I was on a bus stop. I'm talking about feeling this. I was on a bus stop, and it was raining, and I guess it was about 25, 26 years old, and I was like, I don't want to be like this all my life. I don't want to be on a bus stop with grocery bags going home. I didn't want that for myself. I remember working in 7-Eleven, and I didn't want to work there all my life. I wanted to be able to take vacations. I wanted to be able to take my kids somewhere and do some things. So I went back to school. And I went back to school, and I got my bachelor's degree, and I went back and finished up and got my master's degree. You know, so I can give them a better life. It wasn't even really about me. It was just, I thank God that something was inside of me that wanted some things to be better in my life. And in my, the marriage that didn't work out for a long time, I went to therapy because I'm telling y'all, I remember being in that relationship and I wanted to kill myself. The thought of blood gushing out of my body, out of my wrist was a good feeling. It felt like, let me take me out of this. You know, what is going on in this marriage that I don't feel loved, that we're not loving each other, that we're not communicating, that we're leading separate lives. I didn't get married for that, but guess what? I stayed in it, right? Because I thought that that's what you're supposed to do when you get married. You know, what is it? Love is long suffering. You know, that line. You know, so, and I did it. You know, I hung on in there. You know, it was long, you know, and it was a lot of, you know, being together, me moving, him moving, us moving back together. A lot of furniture got torn up. A lot of money got wasted. A lot of lives were torn apart. I'm talking about with my kids. And the pain of knowing that, you know what, your stepfather and I are not together. You know, that was a painful thing to have to, so it was all right that I cried, but I didn't want my kids to cry. You know, it was all right that I felt the pain, but I didn't want them to feel the pain. But thank God that I came from a good family. You know, my mom was a single parent, so I always thank God I could make a happy home. You know, and I taught my kids how to be grateful, you know, and I thank God that I had a job to go to and I had some money saved up and I had people in my life who helped me. And I cried and I had a lot of women's raps at my house. And I just didn't use. And, in each breakup, in each separation, just drew us further apart. And it drew me to the point where I knew I didn't want this anymore for myself. That, life was too short. You know? That I really didn't think it was going to get any better. And I had to forgive myself for the decision of, you know, going through with a divorce so that I could move on with my life. And I didn't know that I could still be happy after that, y'all. I didn't know that I could love again. I didn't know that something in my life was really missing. That, you know what, this ain't it, Connie. You know, I didn't know. You know, you talk about coming around here getting stuff beyond your wildest dreams. Getting divorced in recovery was beyond my wildest dreams. remarrying again in recovery was beyond my wildest dreams. Being happy again was beyond my wildest dreams. I didn't know that was going to happen for me. I thought I had my chance. You know, when I think about you can't heal what you can't feel, and I thank God that when I first came around, I struggled with a relationship with my mom. You know, just because they had money, I thought it was my damn money. You know, I thought they were supposed to pay my bills. You know, I thought they were supposed to help me out. I thought that, self-centered. I thought that. You know, I thought that. And I remember, you know, my parents had moved. One time she moved, didn't even tell me where the heck she was living. I had a resentment with that. And I was in recovery. And it was like Mother's Day, and I was trying to send her these beautiful yellow roses, and I didn't know where the hell to send them. That was real painful for me. That was painful when I graduated with my master's degree, and you ain't show up to the damn party. You said you was at the graduation, but I believe you wasn't there because I ain't see you. And I had a lot of issues with my mother in early recovery. But let me tell you about this particular time. I guess I had about 4 or 5 years clean, and I met her at Friendly's, and I gave her the flowers. And it was a lot of feelings that was coming back. It was a lot of feelings like when I was 16 years old. And you said, Connie, if you ever want some birth control, let me know and I'll give them to you. And I told you that Mom wanted some birth control. And she said, why? I said, because the guy wanted me to have some birth control, right? But she never told me that, you know what, you don't have sex because the guy wants you to have sex, Connie. And so I told her that, you know, and I said, you didn't tell me that, you know, it was going to be painful. You know, you didn't tell me those things that I thought the mother and daughter kind of relationship we should have had. And she said, you know, Connie, I did the best I could. I didn't have a mother that told me some stuff. So some healing began. And I said, you know what, I have a little sister. And I said, you know what, you make sure you tell her. And I made sure I told my daughter that, you know, you don't have sex because the guy wants you to have sex. You know, because I didn't know. But more than that, y'all had to look at me, that I, even as a kid, I wasn't willing or able to talk to her. That I had no girlfriends or people in my life that, you know, when you go through that puberty and all that kind of stuff, who you get intimate and you talk to. I didn't have that. I might have read a book. You know, I tried to maybe get it out of a book, but I never really talked to anybody like that, you know. When I came out of treatment, my father said, he said, you know what, if you use, I ain't gonna have nothing else to do with you. That kept me clean for a while. Until it came to the point that I learned that I didn't want to use because I didn't have to use anymore, y'all, and it wasn't going to make my life any better. I learned a lot of times I used because I didn't like responsibility. I didn't like being responsible for my kids. I didn't like paying rent every daggone month. I wanted to blame them fathers who didn't show up. You know, I wanted to blame somebody else. But I came around here and I learned how to be responsible. I learned how to pay my bills. I learned how to talk to my children. I learned how to go back to school. I learned how to be good at my job. I learned how to show up. I learned to take some responsibility for some things. I learned to be able to open up and raise my hand and tell some people when I'm hurting and some things I don't know, you know, or to call my sponsor or to call some people that I'm not alone. I learned that there's sometimes more than one solution. You know, because I always didn't think sometimes I would think that there's no solution to some of my problems or some of my situations. I had came around here and learned how most of the time to be able to control or understand or go through the process of some of my feelings. You know, that sometimes just to sit still for a minute, Connie, to pray. And I was talking to my husband, and he's so funny sometimes. He pushes me a lot to talk sometimes when I don't want to talk. You know, because when I do meetings or when I share, I stay to myself, you know, in God, and I pray. I don't always like to talk to a lot of people because, you know, that's my space and that's my time. But he's my husband, you know, and I have to learn how to let him in even when it's uncomfortable. Or even just to tell him that it's just uncomfortable. And I do. I was like, you know what? That's enough. Let's stop talking about that right now. I don't want to talk about the topic anymore. But, and the sister, you know, was just up here sharing about how for 10 years her husband still holds her at night. You know, and my husband, you know, holds me and rubs my back at night, which I think is just so beautiful. He loves me, like I've never been loved before. You know, which makes me love him too, because I have a lot of love in me that I wasn't always able to give. You know, I'm unfortunately, I believe that, I think it's unfortunate, that I can't always express how I feel. I always show by material or by cleaning up or just by doing that stuff or cooking dinner or making sure the house is perfect for when you come home, you know, and not trying to bitch too much, you know, and I thank God that I have a husband who talks, you know, who tries to get to the exact nature. All right, baby, we're going to talk about this. We ain't going no more further. What's up? You know, and through him sharing how he's feeling when he's thinking helps me to be able to open up too. You can't hear what you can't feel, y'all. For a long time, the drugs numbed a whole lot of stuff, you know, and I wasn't able to feel anything. But you come around here and you don't have the drugs as much. Sometimes you can substitute with some other things, but that feeling and that hurt and that pain always comes back in a different form. It comes back. And I thank God for it, right? I thank God for that, because I get better. We get better. I'm going to stop right here, and thanks for allowing me to share. I keep coming back.
Our next speaker, I'd like to thank Connie first, and our next speaker will be Connie E.
My name is Artie. I'm an addict. And first, I'd like to thank the capital area for giving me yet another opportunity to serve. Secondly, I'd like to thank my friends that rode up here with me and my friends who have supported me all through my recovery. And that plays a big part in this topic. Having some people in your life to help you get through some things that you've probably been running from all your life. Then I'd like to thank God for each and every moment of my life. Active addiction is a bitch, but active addiction has put me right in this space, right now, right here. And through the years that I've been here, I've come to understand that and appreciate it just for what it is. I wouldn't wish active addiction on my worst enemy, but I understand the part that it played in my life. You can't heal what you can't feel. I understand that. And I understand that through what I call issues of origin. And I'm talking about long before the drugs come into the picture. I am the oldest male, the middle child, and a junior. So I had a whole lot of expectations placed upon me that I didn't even know whether I wanted or not. I had perceptions of things as to how I was supposed to be, what I was supposed to do, and what my life was supposed to be, and I didn't know a damn thing about life. So even before I picked up that first substance, I got some I got some shit in my head. I got some stuff up here, and I don't have no answers, and I don't even have an idea of how it's affecting me. I'm hurting and don't even know I'm hurting. I'm confused and have no idea that not just what I'm confused about, but I am confused. So I did like a lot of people do. I looked outside. I looked outside for my answers. Fast forward, I find a substance. The substance seems to take some of that stuff away. The substance seems to make me somebody other than who I am. But there's one unfortunate side effect from using. It wears off. The euphoria wears off. And you back to where you started. So you go through 20 years of that, come in here, and you are like, as a friend of mine says, zestfully clean. You just so goddamn excited that you ain't using. And you are just so happy that, like, you know, you ain't getting ill. That when you wake up in the morning, you can remember what you did the night before, and you ain't ashamed of what you did the night before. That you got $6 in your pocket, and it's the same $6 from 3 days ago. You know, you're just so happy about that. Then life shows up. Life shows up, and you begin to discover that, like, there's some other things going on. That addiction is not, in the first step, it talks about our usage was but a symptom of our addiction. And now you start to get in touch, or I start to get in touch with those many other symptoms. Finding out that I suffer from low self-esteem. And I hid that low self-esteem through intimidation, people-pleasing, manipulation, emotional blackmail, and complete and total self-gratification in any form. See, after a while, I found out that, like, I can get off on other things besides drugs. I began to find out I have a deep-seated need for instant gratification. I want what I want when I want it, and I wanted it yesterday. So why the hell ain't you delivered it to me yet? And that sort of brings up other issues such as being codependent. Looking for somebody to fix you. And then finding somebody that's willing to do that because they got their own codependency issues, and then you start resenting these people for fixing you because your level of self-respect and self-acceptance is being stunted because you ain't doing nothing for yourself. Because you can't go through the natural maturation process of growing up and being a man. Thank God for sponsorship. Thank God for the people He put in my life. Not thank God for when I got clean. I've been here since 1988. I got some time. But I thank God for the people He has put in my life due to the fact that these people helped me get in touch with what I'm feeling so I could begin to set some priorities to allow the healing to happen. Now, I don't know about nobody else. I'm sharing my damn experiences. My healing comes through going inside. My healing comes through working our spiritual principles with an experienced member. Somebody who has been where I've been. Somebody who has found some answers. Somebody who knows how to step on my baby feelings to help me grow up. Somebody who has enough experience in that process to understand that you can't make me do something I don't want to do, so they love me from a distance until I go through my pain and become willing to surrender. But when I am willing to surrender, they're right there. Thank God for the inventory to be able to sit down and then discover some things for self. I've always had a problem with forgiveness. Not so much that I couldn't forgive, but I could never allow it to happen to me. I was greasy when I was using. I really was. But through this process, I have been forgiven by other people, still forgiven today, but I don't feel it all the time. And the reason why I don't feel it is because I can't apply that to myself. I could have done the cruddiest stuff to all of y'all. All of you sitting here can have forgiven me, but I will feel like I'm lower than whale turd because I can't recognize your forgiveness because I haven't forgiven myself. And what I'm saying is sometimes, even with time, it's a struggle to accept the disease that I have. That even with time, even with some experiences, even with a working knowledge of spiritual principles, my disease is still a power greater than me, and it still finds a way to get in there. So I'm not allowed to experience the complete and total freedom that this program offers. But thank God recovery doesn't happen in a vacuum. I'd be in real trouble. Because it's through my interactions with a lot of you that I begin to find out, boy, you got some issues. And your issues are like tissues. You pop one up and another one's already popped up waiting for the next time. Somebody earlier was talking about having a break in between devastation where you can sort of regroup, and life ain't fair. Life ain't fair. You will get up in the morning singing that happy song, walk out the door, and life will mug your ass. And then after you go through the hurt and the pain of the mugging and the devastation and betrayal, all that happens, you figure you had your turn and you get a break, and you will find out on your way back home on the same day, it's waiting for you in the same spot. Life on life terms. And so what I began to do was I began to start working on me. And Connie talked about it earlier. Part of that working on me was communication. Because you can't get no help if you can't tell anybody what you need help with. You ever go in a really large mall? I mean a real big one. And you know you're looking for a store, and you go looking for it on your own, and you just can't find that motherfucker. So then it dawns on you, well, they have directories in here. I need to go to the directory and look it up. Now, if you're an addict like me, you go straight to the pictures. You don't read any of the stuff underneath. So you go into the picture, you find what you're looking for, and you look at it, and you say, I still don't know where the hell it is. Till you go down below where you read the stuff underneath and it says something like, look for the red arrow. I go up to the red arrow, it says, you are here. You can't tell nobody where you at. You can't get any relief. And a lot of times telling somebody where you at is telling them, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's happening with me. I don't know why I'm doing what I'm doing. I don't know why I'm feeling what I'm feeling. All I know is I'm uncomfortable. All I know is I got voices up in my head telling me to do some stuff that I ain't sure I want to do, but just to kill the voices, I'll do that shit. I'll do it. That I'm looking at what I think is the quality of my life, and I'm not satisfied with it. I'm not satisfied because I've looked at my own potential and know that I can do better. I'm not satisfied with it because I'm looking at you, Kenny, and I want to know, why can't I have your life? I'm looking at you, James, and wondering, why can't I be like you? Why can't I have your character? I'm looking at my good friend Thomas and wondering, why can't I articulate some things the way he articulates those things? And I'm caught up. I'm caught up because I'm being distracted, because the issue isn't about everybody else's life. The issue is what's going on in your reality that you don't want to face. And because you don't want to face it, you're looking at all this other stuff. You were asking why all these motherfuckers talking shit about you? That's why. They got their own set of issues that it's easier to look at you than it is to face their issues. And what that tells you is they in a lot of pain. I've been there. When you start focusing on other people as to what they're doing, what they're not doing, there's something going on in your own life that you don't want to deal with, and you are hurting at that time, and you will continue to hurt. And all the time, pain for this addict doesn't register as pain. Sometimes it registers as excitement. Sometimes it registers as distraction. Sometimes it registers as, I need some new experiences. When the bottom line is, I'm not looking for drama, I'm experiencing trauma. Think about it. Anytime you've had drama in your life, anytime you've heard people sharing about drama, when you really look at what they're talking about, they talk about being in pain. That's trauma. And I had to work on identifying what I felt either through the inventory process, through the 6 and 7 step process, through the therapeutic value of talking to some other addicts, through going to the experienced member who has been through what I'm just getting in touch with, to begin to find out what's going on so I could begin to find what is my solution. And all the time, I can't say that once I find my solution, I'm ready to apply it. Thank God for the gift of desperation. Remember that desperate feeling you had just before you got clean? Where you said to yourself, I'll do anything not to use. That if them people tell me to stand on my head in the corner left-handed for an hour while they throw darts at me, I'll do it if it'll keep me from not going through the degradation, the dereliction that I've gotten in touch with from using. That type of desperation. I have to experience that in the here and now sometimes in order for me to apply the solution that has been given to me. But part of this is a program of progress and not perfection. Part of that means that, like, sometimes you go through what you go through, but then sometimes you don't go through a higher state of insanity of not so much repeating the same mistakes, expecting different results, but ignoring the obvious. That you know what the results are going to be, but you're going to do it anyway. That you've had this experience already, and you know it ain't going to work, but you're going to do it anyway. How do you balance that sort of stuff? How do you balance, well, I really don't know what to do and I need to feel my way through it and I'm not being punished. I haven't been dealt a dirty hand or anything like that, but it's just an experience between, I know better. I know this is insanity. Insanity is a result of unmanageability, and we have a step that tells us as a result of our powerlessness or refusal to admit powerlessness, that's why our lives became unmanageable, which brings on the insanity, and the sanity eventually brings on pain. The longer I stay in this process, the longer I get in touch with, I'm not masochistic. Don't beat me, whip me, or any of that bullshit. I'm beginning to get in touch with, I like enjoying life, and yeah, it is all different types of pain. Part of it is the growing pain of going through life, getting in touch with God, growing up, maturing, and all that. I'm talking about the unnecessary pain, which is suffering. Y'all taught me I don't have to suffer needlessly. But how do you do that if you're not connected? How do you do that if you don't have some tools? So let me fast forward. We go through this process, and a lot of times we get caught in extremes. It's either good or it's bad. It's either right or it's wrong. I'm finding out sometimes you go through this process and it ain't either one of that stuff. It's stuff that's sitting in the middle. I'm at a crossroads. And I can go to the fork on the left or I can go to the fork on the right. It's my choice. And I understand it's my choice. And the fork to the left, it's a wonderful thing. There is nothing negative about it. There is nothing destructive about it. And the same exact thing can be said about the fork on the right. And I don't know which way I want to go. I don't know what is the decision I need to make. And I haven't quite made the decision. 2 reasons. First and foremost, I'm caught up in the absolutes of if you go that way and you're wrong, you done fucked up again. Your track record says when you given a choice like that, you always make the wrong choice. So I'm still dealing with those issues. But the recovery process and part of this is that I'm stuck for right now is because I need to sort through some stuff to know not so much which is the right road or which is the wrong road, which is the road that I'm going to take, good, bad, or indifferent, and be able to live with that decision. That in taking that road, I'm not going to be beating me up 1 week, 1 year, 1 decade, 30 years from now about that decision I made back then. What is the decision I can make that I can live with, good, bad, or indifferent, of the result? Because what I've come to understand that like everything that happens doesn't happen to me. It doesn't happen for me. Because if you understand unconditional love and the therapeutic value, maybe some stuff happens because God has given you what's necessary to get through it, because he's got a plan for you to help somebody that ain't going to make it. That the whole ranch is on the line and they're going to come up short. And he has a plan for them, so he's using you as a tool to help them. My self-centeredness can get so caught up about me that I forget about my 3rd step decision, and in making that decision, sometimes my life is not mine. That I'm a tool. And for a guy that worked for over 14 years in construction, I have never went to my toolbox and heard a tool say, I don't feel like doing that right now. Get this other one. So I need to adopt and adapt in that same way and stop looking and taking stuff so personal. I need to begin to recognize that, like in our 4th step, it talks about how we gain the ability to survive our emotions and begin to trust in this process, which led me to God to let me know I'm going to get through it. But my deep-seated need for instant gratification means that I want certainty and guarantees. I ain't doing shit till I know what's in it for me. And life ain't like that. Sometimes the greatest victories that you can have in life is when you conquer the unknown, no matter what it is for you. So a lot of times, and you can't heal, you can't heal what you can't feel. It isn't so much getting caught up into the not feeling part. Because like I said, sometimes I don't know what I'm feeling. Sometimes I mislabel what I'm feeling. For me, is the healing part of it. You can't heal what you can't feel, so I need to start healing, so maybe I need to start feeling. Somebody help me. And it's through this process I've been able to sustain the time that I've had. It's through this process I have developed the limited relationships that I have that are long-lasting. My friend Thomas talks about you better have 6 friends. Because when it comes time to bury your ass, somebody's got to carry that casket. I understand that. And that helps me appreciate the very few relationships that I do have. Because it's not just, well, I can be there and be a pallbearer for somebody else. I can say with complete confidence, this process has allowed me to heal. Not only has it allowed me to heal, it has allowed me to feel, and it has allowed some people to feel for me. Thanks for allowing me to share.
Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. Please help us improve our ranking so others can find us by putting a review on Stitcher, iTunes, or your favorite podcast index. NAPOD is ad-free thanks to the folks supporting the show with $1 or more per month. If you enjoy listening, you can join them by going to napod.xyz and looking for the donate link. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.